because truth is just truth. Truth isn't Jewish. Truth doesn't have a bar mitzvah and gefilte fish.
Right.
God isn't Jewish either.
Mysticism is powerful, it's moving, it's speaking a language that even if I clearly don't understand it, it's saying something to me. The amount of people I see who are using Kabbalah and mysticism as a tool to manipulate people into following them, and it's like we're better off thinking it's all bullshit and let's just neglect it. We seem to be doing a good job, but how do we be both rigorous and mystics? And
So I think it's definitely possible. I really do think that finding a rigorous and thoughtful and rational and empirical grounding for mysticism may be the most important thing to do in this moment, and I think that it's something which has been happening for the past few decades. So there's a poem, it's attributed to a character in the 16th century in Sfat, which is recited by practicing Jews every Friday night, Ana B'Koach, in Aramaic. It's a very beautiful, enigmatic poem. Ana B'Koach Gedulati Mincha Tatetzo Kabel Enatam. So one of the phrases in there is Na Gibol Doshei Chudcha Kevavat Shamwem, O Mighty One, referring to God. Doshei Chudcha, those that seek your unity, protect them like the apple of your eye, or the pupil of your eye. So that phrase had always stuck with me, that who are these people that we are praying for every week? Who are the Dorshei Chudcha? And to me, the Dorshei Chudcha are the mystics of every tradition, who are trying to seek out the unity of being, who have intimations of a state of being which is beyond time and beyond separation and beyond otherness, that's soaked and permeated by love and by the presence of the sacred and by compassion and bliss. And it's a state of unity where otherness falls apart, where us and them, where me and you, where here and now all seems to be a joke in the grand cosmic scheme, which melts into this oneness. And this to me is like the classic vision of the mystic. So I would say the seekers of unity are the mystics, first and foremost, and that isn't just a historical category. There was a Christian theologian, I think it was Rayner, who said that the Christian of the future will either be a mystic or no Christian at all. And I think that could be extended to religion in general, that the person of religion of the future will either be a mystic or not a religionist at all. So I think that the seekers of unity is really anyone who's looking to find intimacy and closeness with themselves, with each other, with the world around them, with nature, and with the divine, the sacred, whatever that means. That's who I think the seekers of unity are, both historically and today.
On the one hand, like, I know I need to be open, because if I'm closed and dogmatic, that's like that's the antithesis of the mechanism of truth.
Yeah.
But then if you're open, I'm afraid of just accepting everything, but then I don't trust myself to be able to discriminate against what's real and what's not real. Because
I hear a couple different themes there.
Okay, yeah, help me out.
There's this line from the great song that the Jews sang when they left, or when they were crossing through the sea that split for them, when they left Egypt, Az Yashir, which is phrased in future tense, that then Moses will sing, which Chazal read as prefiguring the resurrection, when they will again sing this song. So it's a song which is relevant and ever relevant, right? We are, as many refer to it, as the generation of the desert, right? That's what many of the masters have called us, the generation of Moses. And over there, which means that there's unique lessons from that generation for us today. One of the things in that song is this great line. It's this biblical parallelism, is a technical term, where there's like this poetic form where the same thing is repeated in two different ways, which is Zeh Eli vanvehu Elihe aviver mimeno, which in English means, this is my God, and I will glorify him, and this is my God, and I will exalt him, basically. It's this form of biblical poetry. But because we don't read anything in the Bible at face value, and any extra syllable or consonant we scrutinize, so what is this double phrase? What's going on here? The interpreters read it as that there's two different gods here. And when I say two different gods, I mean two different relationships with God. Some people go confused by Maimonides' class, because they thought I meant that Maimonides actually had two different gods, two different conceptions or relationships to God. One is Ze'eli, this is my God, Vanveho. And the other one is, that's God A, and then God B is Elihe Avi Varimeno, the God of my father, and I will exalt him. And there's a very keen observation here, which I think may have some truth like for us in this moment, and may, I think, respond to some of the themes that you're bringing up, which is that there's a God, there's a truth that we inherit from previous ages. These are the truisms, and they could be the religious. This is literally the God of our Father that we were taught as children, and that God we have to hold in high esteem. We cannot throw out all of the past and start afresh like Descartes did. If we did that in every generation, we'd be in a very dark place. But those gods are exalted. They're not here with us. They're our parents' God. They're somewhere in those truths are somewhere in the past. And then there's a new truth that we have to discover in every generation, and that's Ze'eli. This is my God. This is my axiom. This is my truth. This is what I'm willing to die on the altar for. And that God is Anvehu, which grammatically, according to this interpretation, is broken up of two Hebrew words of ani v'hu, I and thou, me and him. There's an intimate relationship there. It's present. It's in my life. It's my axiom, so I live with it when I wake up, and I live with it when I go to sleep, and I live with it when I eat, and when I sleep, and when I talk. That's my God. And it may not be as firm and as exalted and as lofty and as gloried as the God of my father. But I cannot live just on the God of my father. I cannot live on the truths of the past, and I can't just live on my own truths, right? Because both of those truths are there. The gods of the past are somehow dead to me, right? The death of God that Nietzsche pronounced. And then again, if all I have is my subjective truth, then good is bad and bad is good, and there's nothing that keeps any semblance of reality. And I think that being in the darkness means that we're able to hold on to both of those truths and to both of those gods and both of those conceptions of reality. And there's the truth that we inherit, and that truth constantly needs to be reworked, and it constantly needs to be refined. And that's the truth that I come to. That's my God, with whom I'm intimate. There's this notion that which is really beautiful, that the Ark of the Covenant, which contained the truth of the people of Israel, the Torah, and it's from where God spoke through the cherubs to Moses, that no one could touch that. No one was allowed to touch the Ark. If you touched it, you died. No one was allowed even into the room, the Holies of Holies, where it was kept, besides for the high priest once a year for all of Israel. And if he went in, and if for a second he had the wrong contemplation, he would die. And yet, the Bible prescribes that truth embodied in the physical object of the Ark of the Covenant has to be on poles, that the badim, the poles of the iron, aren't allowed to be taken out, even when it sits for 250 years in one spot, because that truth always has to be able to move on a dime. If our truth is static, then it's cobs and it's dust and cobwebs. That paradox of the Ark of the Covenant, from where God speaks, where truth, the bastion of our truth, which is untouchable and immutable, it is solid gold, literally, has to be also able to be moving on a second. I think that's what's happening. The poles of the iron today is the capacity to open conversation about our deepest truths, to be podcasting, to be sharing, we're moving the truth forward, and we're making that into relationship of it's Ze'eli, this is now my God. And we don't abandon the sacrality. We don't open the curtain of the Kodesh Kodashim to let everyone gaze at the Ark of the Covenant. But we're never allowed to take those poles out. They can't for a moment be stagnated, or else the truth is dead. I think both of them have to be ever present.